I would say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do, because what people are beginning to do is see you for who you are.
Well, I think, yeah, well,
People go, oh, are not people that help friends that diet. You must tell a friend the truth. You must say you are still a pig, lose more weight. That's a friend. Not
I
me,
agree, I
not
agree.
Nell.
I'm just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what I do, getting paid a fraction of the cost.
Oprah Winfrey, a name tied to fame, influence, and power. But lately, a darker side of her Hollywood empire has surfaced. From connections with industry abusers like Epstein and Weinstein to accusations from some of the most beloved black actresses. Is Oprah's Hollywood magic touch a thing of the past?
I'm unapologetic and I'm unwavering about it. Because when I see this woman, Oprah Winfrey, how do you as a black woman watch another black woman be thrown under the bus based off of a lie?
Why are powerful actresses like Taraji P. Henson and Queen Latifah now rallying against her? And what do they know that we don't?
And it's no secret, we are facing some seriously pivotal issues. Everyone's talking about inflation. You know what's not feeling inflation?
Equal pay for black actresses.
Once revered as an ally to actors of color, Oprah now faces severe backlash from black actresses who claim her support came with a heavy price.
You've been unfair. You've been unjust. And you watched a black woman be thrown under the bus, and you said nothing.
To understand the hesitation black actresses now feel toward Oprah, let's start with a heartbreaking moment in Oprah's career. Her decision to shame actress Nell Carter during one of her most vulnerable times. When Joan Rivers and Oprah laughed on live television about Nell Carter's weight, it may have seemed like typical talk show banter. But looking back, this clip hits differently, especially once you know about the struggles and pain that shaped Nell Carter's life.
Yeah, I saw Nell Carter on here last night who'd lost.
Yes, but you couldn't tell. She's still very chubby. She should lose more. Don't you think? Don't you think she should lose more?
Well, I think...
For Oprah and Joan to make light of someone's body, someone who was not only talented but also fighting serious personal battles, reveals a pretty ugly side of Hollywood. Here was Oprah, a figure who should have understood the weight of body shaming and the toll it takes, laughing along as Joan Rivers called Nell Carter a pig.
Are not people that help friends that diet. You
That's
must tell a friend the truth. You must say you are still a pig, lose more weight. That's a friend.
It was a jarring moment, not just for its cruelty, but for what it reveals about the kind of environment Carter had to navigate. Nell Carter was a powerhouse. Born in Alabama in 1948, she grew up in a large, poor family in a segregated neighborhood. Her childhood was tough. She started singing in her local church choir at a young age, her voice so strong and soulful it couldn't be ignored. By the time she was in her early 20s, she made the leap to New York City, chasing dreams of a Broadway career. She broke onto the scene with hard work and raw talent, earning her first major Broadway role in 1971 and quickly making waves in the theater world. Her role in the musical revue Ain't Misbehavin' brought her a Tony Award and eventually an Emmy. Nell had a way of captivating audiences and owned every stage she stepped on too. And yet, while she was breaking barriers and showing Hollywood her talent, she was facing intense personal battles that were hidden from the public eye. Hollywood is often portrayed as a glamorous place, but for someone like Nell, it was anything but. In the 1980s, around the time she was at her peak with Gimme a Break, a sitcom that brought her into millions of homes, she was struggling with substance abuse and mental health issues.
That was my dream, because I was gonna be Diana Ross.
She attempted to end her life at one point, and her struggle with addiction became a long, painful battle. She faced body shaming and racial discrimination throughout her career. Hollywood seemed more willing to celebrate her for her talent on stage or on screen than to give her the support she desperately needed off screen. Oprah, on the other hand, knows firsthand the challenges of living in the public eye while dealing with issues around weight and body image. She's been very open about her own struggles, and for decades, people made her weight a talking point. She was teased, criticized, and judged for every pound she gained or lost. By her own admission, she felt shame about her body for much of her career. So when she appeared on Joan Rivers' show, laughing along as Rivers called Nell Carter a pig, it's painful to watch, especially knowing how deeply she has felt that same kind of judgment. Oprah could have used that moment to show some empathy, maybe even to redirect the conversation. Instead, she laughed. And in that instant, she aligned herself with the cruel side of Hollywood, the side that mocks and tears down.
Yeah, Nell is 6'12". Nell is about 5'2". She's a small lady.
Yeah, shorter. Say shorter.
Shorter. What's the difference between shorter and smaller?
about this much.
Adding insult to injury, the public narrative around Oprah has changed so much since then. Today, she's an advocate for self-acceptance and wellness. She's spoken about how liberating it was for her to stop yo-yo dieting, and she's gone as far as to promote new weight loss drugs, something she once viewed as taking the easy way out. Now, Oprah talks about body positivity, wellness, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. She even encourages others to try these medications if they struggle with their weight, emphasizing how damaging it is to shame people for their bodies. But back in that interview, Oprah wasn't showing that same compassion to Nell Carter. To laugh along with Joan Rivers while another person's appearance was torn apart on national television isn't just unfortunate, it's a betrayal, particularly for someone who herself was a victim of public shaming. Imagine what it must have felt like for Nell, someone whose entire life had been a climb from hardship, only to be mocked in a world that should have been celebrating her resilience and talent. And Nell Carter's story only gets more tragic. In her later years, her struggles with diabetes worsened, and she continued to fight battles few people knew about. After several miscarriages, she adopted 2 children. She had medical emergencies related to her diabetes and collapsed during a Broadway performance. Nell was brave. She kept pushing forward, even as her health failed her. But she died in 2003, just a few days before a scheduled performance in a revival of A Raisin in the Sun. She was only 54, and her death was attributed to complications from diabetes, a condition that had plagued her for years. It's hard not to feel a twinge of anger and sadness watching that clip today. Nell Carter deserved compassion and support, especially from people who knew what it was like to feel the sting of public judgment. Instead, in that moment on Joan Rivers' show, she got ridicule. Moving on, we have Oprah's alleged exploitation of black actresses. If you've been following the news over the past couple of months, you'd know that there have been talks about the pay disparities in Hollywood. But contrary to what many people might think, these talks have actually been ongoing for decades. The difference between then and now is that unlike before when the battle was strictly against the powerful men that ruled the entertainment industry, now it seems to be a fellow black woman who's underhanding other actresses, and it seems Queen Latifah and Taraji P. Henson are sick of it. To prove how serious of an issue this problem is, these women have just taken to one of the biggest stages in the entertainment world to call out the very woman who sits in the middle of this battle they're fighting. Now, I've not mentioned her name, but I will tell you that she has a very successful TV show and hosts it. If you couldn't tell by now, the person I'm referring to is none other than the powerful Oprah Winfrey. As someone who's felt the cold embrace of racism, sexism, and discrimination in general, according to her story, you'd expect that this woman would be the last person to be involved in anything like that. But surprise, surprise. What's worse is that getting involved in these stories is only where it begins for the famous hostess. Reports say she's done it to people and might have even played a role in making sure other black actresses got paid less in projects she wasn't even involved in. In the eyes of people like Queen Latifah and Henson, this is even worse than the other kinds of roadblocks they've faced in their lives. The reason is that being in the entertainment space together and fighting through similar struggles is supposed to be something they could relate to and fight, but here they are getting stabbed in the back. Anyway, this seems to be why these women finally summed up the courage to take their fight to the gates of Hollywood. And when I tell you it set off a chain reaction, that's the understatement of the year. Fans, fellow celebrities, and virtually everyone involved in the entertainment sphere in one way or the next have all reportedly spoken in support of both women. But in realizing that their choice to speak now might have been targeted at exposing Winfrey, people have been allegedly discovering even worse situations where the famous host intentionally underhanded black actresses. Now it seems because of Queen Latifah and Henson, Winfrey might be up against a lot more than just a legion of fans. But it doesn't get unreal till you see just how vivid the picture these women painted of her gets.
It's a scary thing to speak your truth, but I urge you all to speak your truth, because at the end of the day, that's all we have. And like they say, the truth will set you free.
When you've been in the film industry for decades, it's almost 100% certain that people would take whatever you say about the space seriously because of your wealth of experience. This caveat is the very thing Taraji P. Henson and Queen Latifah recently took advantage of to show the world who their favorite hostess really might be. but they didn't exactly take the most direct approach. According to reports, during this year's awards ceremony, Queen Latifah and Taraji P. Henson teamed up and spoke against the inequality of payment for black actresses in Hollywood. As part of her opening comments at the NAACP, Queen Latifah talked about the struggles that Americans are facing, like inflation, which prompted Taraji P. Henson to say that black actresses continue to be underpaid in Hollywood. Henson, who took home an NAACP award for Outstanding Supporting Actress for her riveting performance in 2023's The Color Purple as Shug Avery, also took to the stage for a soul-stirring speech, documenting the aftermath of her speech about unequal pay for black actresses. "It's no secret we are facing some seriously pivotal issues," Latifah said during her monologue. She added, "Everyone is talking about inflation. You know what's not feeling inflation?" The cameras then cut to Henson, who was sitting with the audience, and said, "Equal pay for black actresses."
And it's no secret we are facing some seriously pivotal issues. Everyone's talking about inflation. You know what's not feeling inflation?
Equal pay for black actresses.
Latifah then said, "Thank you, Taraji, for standing up for all of us." Henson would take the stage soon after to receive the award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture for The Color Purple. During her acceptance speech, she took the opportunity to thank those who stood by her during the press tour for the movie when she initially called out the pay inequality that exists in Hollywood. The movie press tour she made that complaint happened to have been produced by Winfrey. This is the one factor that gave who both actresses were referring to away. Because tell me, what the odds are for it to be someone else? But even if you don't believe in odds, there's a very clear paper trail. As she said, Henson had already raised alarm about payment disparities in the industry. However, the timing for her words, like now, couldn't have been more perfect, as it came out around the time she was promoting The Color Purple, which just so happened to have been produced by this same controversial talk show host we've been talking about. I've been getting paid, and I've been fighting tooth and nail every project to get that same freaking quote, and it's a slap in the face when people go, "Oh girl, you work all the time. You always working." Well, god damn it, I have to. It's not because I wish I could do 2 movies a year and that's that. I have to work because the math ain't mathing, and I have bills, she said with tears.
And almost had to walk away from Color Purple. Yes, ma'am. Who said what? Yes, ma'am.
Tells you this woman probably more than likely had a horrible experience on that set. Because of this, it didn't take fans too long to put 2 and 2 together about who she was referring to. To many, the fact that Henson had selected the movie's promotion to discuss these matters, in any event, led them to believe that she was making a direct criticism of the movie's producers, specifically Winfrey. Besides that, the situation grew even worse after a different instance when TikTok users started criticizing 2 videos from a press conference to promote the same movie. TikTokers said Henson and Winfrey did not get along, and that the acrimony actor appeared uncomfortable around her producer after paying extra attention to the 2 women's body language.
Let's look at Oprah. You see how she looked at Taraji and quickly looks away. And now look at Taraji, look at her legs. She locks it away from Oprah, looking up, fluttering her eye, trying to hold back tears.
This TikToker also brought up that Henson was the only actress Winfrey didn't actually touch among everyone there.
Oprah is all closed up. She's not even trying to open up and was closing in on Oprah. Oprah pulls out, trying to find an escape, goes right behind Gano Brooks. And look at Taraji's face. She's just like not having it.
Surprisingly, this wasn't actually the only thing she said on record about her time on the set. Henson also said in a recent interview with the New York Times that she and her co-stars on The Color Purple got a lot of stuff on that set because she fought for it behind the scenes. One such example was transportation and security to the film's Atlanta set, as the production allegedly offered the cast rental cars at first and expected the actors to drive themselves to the set. They gave us rental cars, and I was like, I can't drive myself to set in Atlanta. This is insurance liability. It's dangerous. Now they robbing people. What do I look like taking myself to work by myself in a rental car? Henson said. So I was like, can I get a driver or security to take me? I'm not asking for the moon. They're like, well, if we do it for you, we gotta do it for everybody. Well, do it for everybody. It's stuff like that. Stuff I shouldn't have to fight for. I was on the set of Empire fighting for trailers that weren't infested with bugs. Logistics problems aside, the cast members had several other problems on the set. During a recent Q&A for the film presented by THR, Danielle Brooks revealed the actors did not initially get their own dressing rooms when they showed up for rehearsals, nor was food provided to them at that time. "I remember when we first came and were doing rehearsals, they put us all in the same space," Brooks said. "We didn't have our own dressing rooms at the time. This was my first studio film. Sometimes you do come in saying, okay, I'll take whatever they give me. I'm just happy to be here. But Taraji spoke up for us. You showed me how to do that." Like Taraji has been fighting this fight for her fellow actresses, Queen Latifah has also been at it since as far back as 2017.
I mean, women are paid less, period. It's nothing different than what happens in the world. Women tend to be paid less than their male counterparts.
During an interview with Essence Now, the rapper-cum-actress spoke about how the pay disparities in Hollywood have been going on for so much longer than most people realize. At the time, she said, "There's nothing different than what happens in the world. Women getting paid less than their male counterparts." The actress went further to clarify that it wasn't just male counterparts, but that black women tend to be paid less in general. Her way of dealing with this was by her and other big names pushing their offers far above what they would ordinarily be expected to take for roles. Not just that, she also mentioned that owning the content being created is also how the expected changes will be achieved.
Now, we don't just take what we're offered. You know, we always push it further, and we realize what our worth is, but also realize that we can create this content.
Although that may have helped a little, she's admitted that it's all part of their continuous fight against the wide gap the industry has put between the pay of black women and all the other professionals in their line of work. To think this is a struggle almost every black woman in the industry faced, yet someone with as much influence as Winfrey has not just stayed quiet about it, but has also been accused of doing that very thing. Speaking of the famed hostess, Taraji wasn't actually the only person from The Color Purple who spoke out against Winfrey for their poor treatment, as that was also Fantasia Bruno's story. The actress shocked the world by admitting that she had to go through hell and back when she was playing Celie in The Color Purple. She revealed that although she was always working, she didn't have any money to even order a pizza. "When I played Celie on Broadway, that was heavy for me. I didn't have a team. Everybody that was around me was taking everything that I had. I would get home and couldn't even order a pizza, but I was never home. How is that? I ain't got no money, but I'm always working," she said. To make matters worse, Fantasia claimed that her real-life situation was just as bad as the characters. Therefore, it was hard for her to play the part. The actress previously told Entertainment Weekly that she felt like she was carrying her cross and Celie's cross during the production. "What I felt and carried stepping into her shoes and playing her, I wasn't ready to go back to that." However, in an interview with People, she didn't mince words about her disdain for playing Celie on stage and how it almost prevented her from saying yes to the new Blitz Bazawule-directed film. She told the outlet, "I hated it. That was around the time that my life was so crazy, so it was almost like carrying my cross and Celie's cross. I didn't know how to come out of the character. If one person said it, maybe it could have been a mistake. 2 people, maybe a coincidence. But for 3 people to say the same thing, chances are Winfrey is probably not that innocent of the allegations." Anyway, as much as many actresses have spoken up, few actresses have been as vocal as Monique about her experiences with Oprah. Monique, who's long claimed Oprah contributed to her blacklisting in Hollywood, explains how their once close bond devolved into a brutal betrayal. From being ignored when she needed support to public humiliation, Monique has made it clear that working with Oprah isn't all it's cracked up to be. You see, while promoting her 2018 film A Wrinkle in Time with her castmates, Oprah sat down with Global Grind, and Monique's comments came up in the interview. Instead of apologizing to Monique, the talk show host referred to her concerns as negativity.
Can't meet negative energy where it is. You have to rise above it. You have to transcend it. I would never stoop to try to meet somebody where they are negatively.
Monique swiftly responded to this interview and she said, "Oprah, there's a difference between negativity for the sake of being negative, and there's a difference between the truth, which may be negative. If you notice, what you're not saying is, I've lied about anything. And that is very telling, don't you think?" In any case, Monique seems to be doubling down on her previous comments. In a recent interview on Club Shay Shay podcast, she asserted that Winfrey seized prominent roles that were initially offered to her following her Oscar controversy. Quoting Lee Daniels, Monique revealed, "Lee Daniels came out and said, I did offer Monique the Butler, but but as he said to me, he said, "Mo, at the time I didn't have no power, and I didn't have no money." Consequently, when Winfrey expressed interest, she ended up portraying the lead character in The Butler. Expanding on the issue, Monique pointed out a similar occurrence with an unreleased biopic about Richard Pryor.
Lee Daniels was getting ready to do a biopic on Richard Pryor, and he offered me the grandmother. Who then calls Lee Daniels and says, "I want to be the grandmother."
This pattern of events underscored Monique's frustration and raised questions about industry dynamics and power imbalances. Despite reconciling with Daniels in 2022, Monique emphasized her demand for an apology from Winfrey during the podcast. She insisted that Winfrey and Perry should join the conversation to address her grievances directly. "You've been unfair, you've been unjust, and you watched the black woman be thrown under the bus, and you said nothing," Monique expressed, highlighting her disappointment with Winfrey's actions and inactions. In addition to her personal concerns, Monique emphasized a broader sense of disappointment for the community. "I'm not hurt personally, I'm hurt for our community," she emphasized, signaling that her grievances extended beyond her own experiences to systemic issues, affecting marginalized voices in the entertainment industry. This sentiment illuminated the deeper societal implications of the alleged injustices Monique faced. Monique also addressed the drama regarding her family's appearance on The Oprah Winfrey Show in 2010. It was a month after Monique won the Oscar for Precious when Oprah had Monique's brother on her talk show. Monique had been vocal about how her brother, Gerald Imes, had essayed her when she was a child. In her interview with Sharp, Monique said that Oprah did call her to ask if it was okay to have him on the show. "Your brother wants to come on the show and he wants to apologize to you for being you, and he wants to tell other people how to look out for daters," Monique recounted Oprah saying. According to Monique, she told Oprah she wanted nothing to do with him but that she should still do the show, in case her brother had become a different person. At the time, she was grateful that Oprah had reached out. "I start seeing commercials with my mother and my father and my other brother who used to be my manager, who knew the fear that I had of the brother that was up on stage," Monique recalled to Sharp. Monique claimed that Oprah did not tell her that her other family members would be on the show. Monique said that she eventually confronted Winfrey at a party and said Winfrey apologized and claimed that Monique's family showed up on the day unexpectedly. Monique also told the Club Shay Shay podcast that her family also called the former The View co-host Barbara Walters to appear on the talk show before they spoke to Winfrey, but Walters rejected them. She said, "Monique, I told your family I can't do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you. You just won that award. Why would I do that?" Monique said of Walters, who died in December 2022. Monique added that she would have shut down the Oprah interview if she knew her mother would be involved. "We never talked about my mother being there," Monique said. "Oprah and I had a private conversation about our mothers. This is the part people don't know. I shared with Oprah Winfrey what we were going through and how I felt," she added. "But you don't tell me you have my mother and my father on your show, and you think that that's just okay?" But to truly understand the hesitation black actresses now feel toward Oprah, let's go over her controversial ties to some of Hollywood's most notorious names. Over the years, she has been connected with figures like Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, known dators who've wreaked havoc in the entertainment industry. In fact, when Weinstein was finally exposed and faced multiple allegations of SA, rumors circulated that Oprah allegedly called him to offer her support. Although her team denies this, many believe it due to their close friendship. Oprah had been a prominent figure in Weinstein's life, attending numerous events together and often being photographed with him. This connection runs deeper than just public appearances. Oprah and Weinstein collaborated on several projects, including The Butler, a film that Weinstein produced. Oprah's involvement in the film was seen as a significant endorsement, lending credibility to Weinstein's work. This partnership extended beyond the screen, with both appearing together at various industry events, solidifying their public association. They had a very warm friendship, and the photos show. Some people actually believe that Oprah convinced some actresses to hook up with Harvey Weinstein. In any case, Oprah's legacy as a media powerhouse is undeniable, but so is the growing resistance against her influence. For these actresses, integrity means more than a paycheck. It means holding those in power accountable, no matter who they are. With more actresses taking a stand, Oprah may soon find that her influence no longer holds the sway it once did. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.